You also talk about the mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Why?
Another article. Amazing. I mean, this stuff comes in like every other day. I'm getting another piece of the puzzle, so to speak, that tightens it up. Sources from inside the 2008 Bilderberger meeting have leaked the details of what elitists were discussing in Virginia last week. And the talking points were ominous. A plan to microchip Americans under the pretext of fighting terrorist groups, which will be identified as blonde-haired, blue-eyed Westerners. So here's the deal. We know about Digital Angel, okay? Is that the mark of the beast right now? I would say no. It's not the mark of the beast. Could it be the mark of the beast later on?
Yes.
In my opinion, it could be. It fits the description where we're no only able to buy, sell, or trade. Remember, I mean, what's bizarre about this prophecy, this thing is 2,000 years old. It's so flippin' specific. And 100 years ago, you'd look at that. This is why people couldn't understand it. You know, and it says these books were closed until the end time.
So what do you think the event will be, Lynn, to get us all chipped? I'm not going to do it. You're not going to do it. But they're going to try to chip us all.
Yeah, they will.
What will they say to trick us? Will they say terrorism, that we need to identify you so you're safe, you're protected, so you can buy, so you can get on a plane? We need to chip you. Is that what they're going to do?
That's what this article talks about. It talks about blonde-haired, blue-eyed Westerners, you know, basically Al-Qaeda operatives. In Politics, Prophecy, and Supernatural, I outline a scenario which has been researched, and that is that we've got 2 to 20 suitcase nukes, they being Al-Qaeda, terrorists, Iranians, who knows? Between 2 and 20 suitcase nukes already in the country that's embedded. And when these things go off, it'll be a coordinated attack. At the same time they hit Israel, they'll hit us. Could be wrong in that. It's a scenario. But it's based on some pretty interesting, you know, facts and talking to other people and reading other resource material. They seem to be here. I remember a couple of Christmases ago, and some of your listeners might remember this. It was like 2 or 3 Christmases ago. There was this big, you know, most of the news media carried it. They found these huge tunnels at the Mexico-U.S. border. They were so large that you could drive a truck through them. And this, of course, my source actually was a friend of mine who had the source. He couldn't divulge the source. He told me that they actually intercepted a live nuke. Now, I can't prove that, but what I did find interesting was this is an awful ambitious smuggling tunnel, you know, with this. I mean, you could drive a pickup truck through this thing. And they apparently intercepted a live nuke that came up through the southern border. Whether or not that's true or not, the government's certainly not going to tell us that. That would cause mass panic. But I do know this. Some sort of an event like 20 Katrina's happening in this on U.S. soil, God forbid, 5 to 10 dirty bombs going off, people would line up and get chipped overnight because they would want their security. So, I mean, again, and here's the deal. What force is really pushing this agenda? You know, people, you know, say, well, it's the Bilderbergers, it's the Masons, it's this, it's the CFR, it's the Trilateralists. I mean, they go on and on.
The Illuminati,
and all that's part of it. But in my opinion, there's an overriding force that pushes all that. They're all parts of the same, you know, they're all tentacles of the same body. And it's a Luciferian agenda. It's very precise where this thing is going. One world government, one more religious system. Everyone will get chipped. I mean, here's this article. It's like, I remember a friend of mine, I asked him, this is like 20 years ago, and I said, well, what's your opinion on the mark of the beast thing? I mean, you think this can happen with this computer chip thing? He looked at me and said, it's absolutely impossible. There's no way they're ever going to have anything like that. The technology, we're centuries away from that. Here it is.
It's already here.
It's already here. Digital Angels got it. People have been chipped. It's there. It works. You know, you can get scanned. And, I mean, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Look how wrong he was, huh?
There you go. There you go. And it's to me, it's like, it's very sobering because you see this stuff happening. You watch our economy melting down, the housing crisis, the stock market. I mean, it's so multifaceted. There's so much going on the planet. It just seems like we're getting ripe. It's building towards something. It's accelerating towards something. I mean, the floods. What are they saying? The 500-year flood now in Iowa along the Mississippi. First it was the 100-year flood. Now it's the 500-year flood. Here in California, it's either the 100-year or the 200-year drought. I mean, mean, it just, is this normal? Are we looking at just, weather patterns which are cyclical, because we haven't exported enough, we don't know, so we look at these as anomalies? Or are we actually looking, as the article I read in the first half hour, the idea that natural disasters are up 400%? Is that really an anomaly? Is that something we can look at and go, that's off the charts, folks? I can't, something's going on here. I need to pay attention. Does it coincide with these 1,000-year-old, texts, some of them which we've talked about tonight? In my opinion, it does. And this is why, thank you for having me on the show, so I can at least give the information out and let people make up their own minds.
You remember the movie Network? Howard Beale, played by Peter Finch. Remember, he was that anchorman who somehow
he loses it, right?
He loses it, but his ratings go through the roof the more he loses it. And one of the favorite lines, Lynn, I use on this program every once in a while when we just sound off is, leave me alone. Give me my television. Just let me stay in my apartment. Leave me alone. Wow. Leave me alone. That's what's starting to happen now with the housing crunch and the gasoline prices where people aren't going anywhere anymore. People just want to be left alone. And then they come in with, okay, we're going to have to chip you now. And people will bow down. They'll say, please, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Give me my TV dinners, my TV, my entertainment. And when you really look at our media, it's like, the earthquake hit in China, and then it falls off the radar. It's now been like 3 weeks. It's not news anymore. We don't care. Myanmar, same thing, 120,000 people. Well, that's good. We'll have World Vision clean it up. I mean, the place is a total disaster. Even Katrina, much of the city is still in ruin. And yet, what do we see constantly? The antics of Paris and Brittany and OJ and the whole crew. Anything to keep us distracted. Anything to keep, in my opinion, the people asleep. And yet, we see this. When I get an article like this talking about, the chips, and look, I'm not there at the Bilderberger meeting. I have no idea whether this is true or not, but I find it very interesting because I know the technology is there. I'm aware of Digital Angel. I've been on the site. I've looked at it. I followed this thing ever since the inception of it, with the idea of chipping the population, and I believe at one point it will be used. I mean, they will chip the world's population. You won't be able to buy, sell, or trade. And this is a prophecy in the book of Revelation written 2,000 years ago. I'm not making this stuff up, which begs the question, is the guy that's writing this stuff, it seems like he's benevolent. It seems like he's trying to warn us of something. It's like he's telling us what's going to happen before it's happened, very specifically not what's going to happen, that you won't be able to buy or sell. The chip will come underneath the hand or on the forehead. I mean, 100 years ago, people would look at that line and just go and shrug their shoulders. They didn't have a clue. And now it's here. Now it is here, indeed.